I don't know if you realize this, students, but your most important sex organ that you have has nothing to do with what's below your belt. It's your brain. It's right here. And you know what? Lately, we've been able to study your brain and find out what helps people to bond, what helps monogamy. Because we couldn't study this before because we'd have to, like, drill your skull open and try it, and that would be quite unethical. So now we actually have the technology through MRI to study a healthy, working brain, to watch the brain function. And we found some things out about the brain as it relates to sex, and it's been absolutely fascinating. We found out that our brains produce neurotransmitters, and even though males and females have some of the same transmitters, there's a couple that are very different. We are different, not just the body parts, but we're different in our brain. Males produce a neurotransmitter primarily at orgasm, requires orgasm typically, and at orgasm, a male will produce a neurotransmitter called vasopressin. It's typically called the monogamy hormone, or they'll refer to it as the monogamy piece. And some company's gonna figure out how to, like, synthetically reproduce this in males' brains so that Tiger Woods can actually go to treatment, and we can give him a drug. But here's how this actually works. That at orgasm, your brain produces this vasopressin, and it's an imprint of what's in front of you. You become bonded to what's in front of you. Now, in the design of our Creator, it's awesome, because if you reserve that huge, like, bonding for just your wife, only time it ever happens with your wife, it's amazing what the sight of your wife will do to you physically. And that's why I love these older men, and maybe you've seen these older couples who are old, like at least a little bit older than me, just slightly. And we're starting to kind of wrinkle in, because it all goes, and there's not enough plastic surgery to fix it. Right? Okay. Some of you were like, oh, of course not. I think Joan Rivers is attractive. Eventually, it's all going. And this older couple, you'll see them being interviewed, and they look at each other like, I love you. You are the most beautiful thing. Have you seen it? It's like Pavlov's dog. What we used to do is we would say, we want a dog, if you put food underneath the dog, he would salivate, right? So what we did is we put food and we rang a bell. We put food and we rang a bell. We put food and we rang a bell. And eventually we could remove the food and ring the bell, and what would happen? Dog would salivate. We have created the response because we have paired those two things. We have bonded those things together over and over again. This is how this brain chemical works. If the only time that this vasopressin is released in a young man's brain is when he is looking at his wife, eventually the very sight of that woman will cause that response. It's amazing. The problem is, if that has been used over and over again with pornography and images and other partners and never been exclusive, it loses its ability to chemically bond. And we have a young man who is bonded to images and not to his wife. A lot of times boys will say to me, well, I don't see what the big deal is about pornography. I don't see what the big deal is about masturbation, because all of that will go away when I get married. There's not one shred of research that shows those patterns of behavior prior to marriage go away after marriage. All you have done is damaged your ability to bond to that one woman by all of that stuff. Girls, we have a different neurotransmitter that's primary in our brains. It's called oxytocin, and it operates a few more times. Oxytocin can be released in a woman's brain with just hugging. It doesn't require actual orgasm. So hugging, and I don't mean like, hey, nice to see you. I mean hugging. Following me? Hugging will release oxytocin. That's why I get so frustrated when I go to youth conferences or youth festivals and there's bands out and there's teenagers. Have you seen them? Mostly boys wearing t-shirts that say free hugs. Free hug, free cop a feel. I want oxytocin released. That's what that's about. Because what the oxytocin does when it's released in a woman's brain, it says trust, bond, right? Now, there's a huge release of oxytocin in a woman's brain at orgasm. Sexual orgasm will release that. The other time women have oxytocin released in their brain is at the onset of labor. Just before a woman goes into labor, there will be oxytocin released. And then the fourth and last time is while you nurse a baby, which I find fascinating. I love this because ladies, when we nurse our babies, first of all, we get to hold them right here, right? They're right here. And the eyesight for an infant is not very, if it was way out there, they'd be like, blur, what? But when we hold them right here, they can see us, and we are looking into our child's eyes. We're not cows. We're not in the field going, find it, I have other things to do. It's not, we are holding that baby right here and bonding, right? So we are bonding with our children. It's so amazing. So this causes this trust in their bonding. Now, when it comes to relationships and oxytocin release, what we found with young women is when oxytocin was released in their brain, they trust people or bond with young men they shouldn't trust. How many of you ever heard the concept or the saying, love is blind? And everyone sees a girl, you got her in your mind, ladies. You're thinking about that girl right now. You all know the guy she's dating is a complete moron. We all get it. I mean, we're all like, oh my Lord, she has lost her mind. Yeah, she has. It's called oxytocin. Oxytocin is clouding your mind. And this crazy person is all of a sudden somebody you trust. These things matter, students. They matter. And it's important. You're like, why did we have to know about, cows and fields and nursing and because this is how we learn, our brains learn to bond and chemically bond. I used to take duct tape with me, and I say sex has the ability to take two people and bond them like this duct tape. And I'd roll up my sleeve and wrap that duct tape around my arm, and it'd stick really good that first time. And then I'd rip it off, and pieces of my arm would come with the tape. And I'd go to the person in the front row, and I'd stick it to their arm, and it'll stick a little, never as good as the first time, but it'll stick some. Rip it off their arm. Now we got all the junk from their arm and my arm. Move it on to the next person, stick it there, rip it off their arm. Now we got junk from theirs, and pretty soon this tape's going to stick to nothing at all. It's got so much junk from everywhere it's been. You have sex with someone, and you bond with that person, and the junk from that relationship will be carried into the next, and into the next, into the next.